basketball season has returned, and so have we. Tyler Mannion, joined now by Jacob Rudner here in the 6th floor studio, and welcome into Cronkite Sports Live.
It's good to be back. I'm happy to be on the show again with you. It's been like 3 weeks since you and I have hosted a show together.
It's been a while, Jacob, but there's some good stuff going on today's show.
Yeah, we have a lot of good stuff to talk about. Men's basketball, ASU, women's hockey, football, tons to cover. One show, and then you and I are going to do it.
We're going to do it, and we're going to start off absolutely right now, Jacob, with that game from last Saturday. Sun Devil Stadium was sold out for ASU's clash with the Trojans, and our Jack Lauderay has more on the tale of two halves.
Coming off a brutal two-loss road trip, the Sun Devils were looking to turn things around back in Tempe, hosting USC. The Devils also had a new look in the backfield, with Joey Yellen under center, with Jaden Daniels sidelined with an injury. The hopes of the Sun Devils vanished quickly, with USC racking up 28 points in the first quarter alone, and holding ASU to only 13 points in the first half. After a USC-dominant first half, the Sun Devils showed that they weren't out of it yet. The second half, they came to play. And play they did. The second half was a war for momentum, with turnovers being traded back and forth, but ASU started to mount a comeback, clawing back within a one-score deficit. But untimely penalties, dropped passes, and costly late interceptions would be the difference in the fourth quarter to give USC the 31-26 victory.
It was a game of drop balls, missed opportunities for us on offense at times. Penalties, call some plays back. All those things, when you do those things, we're not a good enough football team to overcome those things. To their credit, they fought, got back in the game. We had a chance there at the end. We fell short, so.
While the outcome was not in favor of ASU, Joey Yellen gave ASU a glimmer of hope, throwing for 292 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Joey came out and did an outstanding job, in my opinion. Everybody, he was feeding everybody, scanning the fields, not only protecting him. I just felt like we had a complete game. If we minus the penalties that what plays back, that could have been a blowout.
The Devils will now have to regroup and prepare to get back on the road next week for a matchup with Oregon State. Reporting in Sun Devil Stadium, Jack Lauderay, Cronkite Sports.
Looking ahead, ASU has 3 different options for bowl games according to the latest projections. Those options are the Tony Tiger Bowl in El Paso, Texas, the Red Box Bowl in Santa Clara, California, and the Cheez-It Bowl, which happens to be here in downtown Phoenix at Chase Field. These bowls typically host the Pac-12's 4th, 5th, and 7th place teams. With the Devils on a 3-game skid, they'll need to win at least one more to be eligible for any of these games.
A bowl game may be right around the corner, but let's look farther into the future. About a decade from now, ASU and the Florida Gators will meet on the gridiron for the first time in 2028 and 2031. Ray Anderson announced the home-and-home series this week, but for now, Edwards and company are probably a bit more focused on this week's game at Oregon State. For more on the state of Pac-12 football, here's Hunter Hipple with Impact.
Thanks, guys. The Pac-12 is relevant in the college football world. It's almost a miracle that those words are true again. But it seems that the College Football Playoff Committee could be taking that a little bit too seriously. Take number 10 Oklahoma, for example. The Sooners lost a classic Big 12 shootout to Kansas State 2 weeks ago and haven't recovered in the rankings since. What have Oregon at number 6 and Utah at number 7 done to earn their spot? Well, the Ducks fell to Auburn in week 1, and since then, those Tigers have gone from a legitimate playoff contender to a middling 2-loss team. Utah suffered a loss that could be considered worse than Oklahoma's when they fell to the USC Trojans in September. Losses like those are the reason we see the Pac-12 become the butt of so many jokes. Meanwhile, the Big 12 has an undefeated team in Baylor and the second highest scoring offense in the country in Oklahoma. Perhaps the playoff committee is starting to feel a bit bad for the schools out west. Guys?
The college football postseason is still a few months away, but the Triathlon National Championship is this Saturday in our own backyard. The Sun Devil Tri team will look to four-peat, and you can catch all the action on triathlonlive.tv Saturday afternoon at 1:30. Tune in 15 minutes early, though, because our Cronkite Sports Spotlight pre-race show will take you behind the scenes with the most dominant team at ASU.
Great content to come tomorrow, just as there was great content last night from our very own Alex Gall, who caught up with ASU men's basketball guard Remy Martin following the team's 90-49 win in its season opener.
Alice Call catching up post-game with ASU guard Remy Martin, where ASU just defeated Central Connecticut State in regulation time. Remy, you had 14 points tonight, one of 5 Sun Devils in double figures. How did it feel to get a first home victory here this season?
Man, I'm all about wins, so it feels great. We played a great game. You know, Rob played a great game. As you said, you know, multiple guys in double figures. So everybody did well. Everybody contributed to the win and want to get us going.
Your team also had 19 assists on 29 made field goals. What's the key to ball movement like that?
Trusting each other. We all trust each other. We do it in practice every day. We push the ball. We make the right play. And we trust each other to make the shot. So it's all about trust and the chemistry.
Yeah, you pick up your first victory of the season tonight after that tough loss in China against Colorado. Yeah. What's your message to Sun Devil Nation on the season ahead?
Don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, we're going to still play as hard as we can. You know, it was just one loss, but at the end of the day, we got about 29 games left, and we're just going to fight hard. We're going to put on a show, and we're going to get some wins.
That's ASU guard Remy Martin. For Cronkite Sports, Alex Gall signing off from Desert Financial Arena.
Great work as always by Alex Gall. For more of his content, head on over to cronkitesports.com. And now to stay with the men's basketball team, we bring in WCSN men's basketball analyst Troy Tauscher. Troy, welcome into the studio. ASU basketball has played 2 games so far this season. It's early, but what impressions did this team leave about how they will play?
Well, you know, coming into the season, the narrative was that this was kind of going to be a rebirth of Guard U. You know, they have more play on the guard position than they did last season. I think the first couple games have really proven that. They're doing a lot more of that fast break point, 3-point shooting, driving kick style. And one guy who's really benefiting from that is Rob Edwards. And you've seen it in the first couple games so far. He had 20 points against Colorado, led the team with 23 against Central Connecticut State. And he's a guy who's really not afraid to have the ball in his hands and take shots in big situations. And he's someone I think to watch this season because he's going to really benefit from this team's focus on playing smaller, quicker, relying a little more on shooting and relying a little more of just running teams out of the gym than they did last season.
It's only been 2 games. The first one was well overseas in China, and the most recent was against Central Connecticut State. But with those 2, what are your expectations for how the season plays out?
Well, I think the most important question for ASU this season is how do they hold up in the Pac-12? They were 6th in the Pac-12 preseason poll, and the 5 teams above them all received a first-place vote, so the field is a little bit open. And, you know, the last couple years, Pac-12 play has been kind of their Achilles heel. They've come out really strong in the non-conference and not been as good in the Pac-12, even though they were 12-6 last season. That still wasn't impressive enough to get them past getting into the first 4, which they won. But I think that's the important question is how does this team hold up in the Pac-12? Because they don't have the benefit of a strong non-conference schedule like they had. They really leaned on those Kansas wins and those other big games last season. This season, they don't really have that. So league play is going to be really critical. And I think regardless of how many games they actually win, they will be competitive night in and night out, which is what they really want to strive for this season.
Well, ASU men's basketball plays its 3rd game of the season this Sunday at 4 p.m. against Rider. For more of Troy's content and the rest of our coverage of ASU men's basketball, head on over to cronkitesports.com.
Switching over to Charlie Turner Thorne's team, last Sunday saw the Devils easily beat Army in Tempe. Cronkite sports reporter Emmy Keenan explains how a senior transfer led the way.
The Arizona State women's basketball team just took on Army in what is now Desert Financial Arena. They won this game 83-51.
After losing seniors like Courtney Ekmark and Kiana Ibis, the Sun Devils were expected to fill their shoes, and that is just what senior and USC transfer Jatavia Tapley did.
She's more than helping out. I mean, she's going to be massively impactful for this team this year because of how hard she's working and her skill set. You know, I think I told you guys, I mean, she's one of the top players in the country coming out of high school, so, I mean, she's just getting really comfortable right now.
Tapley put up 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals within 15 minutes of play.
I'm glad I can bring that to this team after not being able to for the last couple of years, so I really appreciate, like, coming here and making a difference, and my teammates got my back, and they trust me on the court, so that helps as well. That helps my momentum keep going.
Army's defense seemed a little distracted as they allowed the Sun Devils to score nearly 24 points for the first, second, and third quarter. The end result for the Sun Devils was ringing the bell for the 2nd time this season.
The Devils will not return home until November 24th against Cal Poly, but their next matchup is in Minnesota on the 17th. In Tempe, Emmy Keenan, Cronkite Sports.
We're going to stick with talking hoops, and for that we bring in WCSN women's basketball analyst Amir Mohammed. Amir, this women's team is 2 games into the season. Obviously, it's early on, but what are some strengths you've seen from them?
Well, actually, going into this season, it looked like detrimental to this team. It was going to be their size. With only one player above 6'3", many thought this would be something bad for the Devils this season, but it's been an advantage for the team this season with the ability to switch on to smaller guards and an ability to run in transition with forwards like Jatavia Tapley and
they've got some good players.
Yeah,
that's the point there, is they've got some good players, and they're running. They're playing fast. They're playing well, and they're going to play some really good teams coming up. This schedule is tough, non-conference and out of conference. So what are some teams that ASU fans need to look out for on this schedule?
Well, this Sunday they're going to travel to Minnesota, and they're going to play Minnesota. It's going to be a homecoming for a few players who's from that state, and it should be a good test to see where ASU ranks amongst the nicer teams in the nation.
It's going to be a tough test. They've got a long road ahead. Early in the season, they're only 2 games in, but they've got 2 wins. For all Amir Mohammed's content going forward for the rest of the season, go check out cronkitesports.com.
From the hardwood to the ice, the ASU women's hockey team went 2-1 on the road last weekend, with the loss coming to number 3 ranked Adrian. The 2 wins came over Davenport and Michigan with a +9 combined margin of victory. More than half of those goals came from sophomore Kat Jones.
It's because everybody I loved was kind of in one place, and it was like, wow, everything's right in the world. So the hockey is just something I get to do that I enjoy, and I don't know, everything was good. And it was a break from school, from work, from the grind at ASU.
Another player that has stood out all season long is Andy Main. Cronkite Sports reporter Jason Sussman sat down with the freshman forward who had 2 goals of her own on last weekend's road trip.
Good D, Cat. That was solid. Oh, Canada.
Andy is the most all-around person I've probably met in a long time.
Wait, did they change this power play 1?
Born and raised in Penticton, British Columbia, Andy Main is a freshman on the Arizona State women's hockey team. Growing up in Canada, Main has played hockey her entire life. With that, the culture within her hometown and family is a prime factor of why she's still playing today.
My entire family played, my dad played, my mom plays, both of my sisters play, and so it was kind of just like growing up in that household. We always had little mini sticks around, and I always wanted to play college hockey, and so my parents pushed me to be where I am today and help me get where I am, and putting me into the academy when I was in grade 9, and it was pretty special, and a lot of their support.
Main has revolved around hockey for as long as she could remember. Constant practices, traveling, and playing with teammates has been her life, and she has loved every minute of it. She has a reputation in the locker room that she puts 110% into everything she does, even if it is off the ice.
Yeah, so I play the piano. It's kind of like a stress reliever for me. I still play soccer. Yeah, I love soccer. And then my family, we all ski.
In Canada, Main played for the Academy, an elite high school program. Through this, she focused on pushing her game to an elite level. Yet while Main has devoted her life to the game of hockey, the journey to become a key player for a college organization hasn't always been an easy one.
I was always really little. I always played on my sister's older team, and I was always the littlest guy on the ice, and I was always trying to get bigger and stronger, and I feel like this year I made a lot of gains on the ice and getting to be where I am, and I think the academy helped a lot too, because we worked on a lot of strength kind of stuff and a lot of skills, and so I think I gained a lot of that. But I mean, it wasn't easy, especially at the academy. It was pretty hard work, and we went for hours and hours, and so a lot of time commitment there, and I had to give up some other stuff like my soccer and some music stuff too that I kind of slacked off more because of focusing on hockey, but I mean, it's worth it.
Main has played for several teams during her hockey career. Whether it be in Canada or the United States, the passion she has had for the game has only grown with each and every team she has played for. Yet with the Sun Devils, she has never felt more connected to the game. Main looks forward to many memories to come and is overjoyed with the memories she has already made with this team.
It was probably in Colorado, that first game. I got a really nice assist because Kat Jones could put it in the back of the net, and I just that made me so excited because last season I didn't have a lot of goals and I wasn't didn't have many points, but
just starting off the game and getting like a nice assist like that and everybody just being so excited and so hyped up on the bench, that was just so special for me, and like to really feel a part of it and to like be a part of the team and just like know that I'm making an impact on the ice, that was really special for me. Pardon? Do you not say pardon? That's me, Canadian.
For Cronkite Sports, this is Jason Sussman.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Spencer Hardenberg, aka the Wolf of social media. Welcome to my Twitter world. Now, let me just start off by saying you and I, dear viewer, we're a lot alike, all right? It's late night, you're a frozen pizza and a bag of popcorn in, and the only place that you can find a home is a YouTube black hole. Now, what I've been getting into a lot is iconic sports moments, and I thought, why not combine the present and history, what got us to the present, put it all in one segment, social media, let's do it. First tweet comes to us from ASU Sun Devil football. You can see N'Keal Harry and Jake Plummer, one picture, two goats. Now this got me thinking, my goats of Arizona State sports. Let's start off with Barry Bonds. Sure, the guy had a lot of steroids in him, but before that, he was a great ball player at the college level and at the professional level. Now let's go over to the Lynx. Phil Mickelson won 44 titles on the PGA Tour and had 3 green jackets, 3 Masters. And now let's go to the second tweet. We got here Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. Did you know he was an Arizona State football player? Now we know him for baseball. We know him for those clutch, heroic moments in October in the playoffs. And that got me thinking, my clutch Arizona State moment. We're going to bring it back 32 years, 1987, back to the Rose Bowl. ASU versus Michigan. It's 15-3 in the second quarter, and Arizona State's defense pitched a shutout in that second half. ASU ended up winning 22-15, and what was the pinnacle for Arizona State football, all thanks to that clutch defense and that clutch performance. Now that's all I got for you guys here. Now let's check out a new international league that will give collegiate swimmers an opportunity to turn their passion into a future. Here's Rachel Phillips with more.
Welcome to this edition of Sun Devil Sit Down. I'm joined by Rachel Mills, and we're going to be taking a look at exactly what is the International Swimming League.
For the very first ever in history of swimming, the ISL League.
People in the States really don't know much about the International Swimming League. How would you explain it, like what it is?
So it's quick, the athletes are up every 3 minutes, these heats go up, so it really is a fun, very fast-paced, high energy team event.
Can you explain, I guess, the team format and exactly what goes into that?
Yeah, so you have your athletes on both teams, and you have the events that need to be swum. And you put up 2 athletes in each, and you have 2 relays. And you score based on what place you get in that heat.
And then the structure of the competition itself, so you start with 8 teams and you have 2 heat kind of rounds?
We were in Group A, and we went to a meet in Indianapolis and then a meet in Naples, Italy. 2 of the U.S. teams and 2 of the European teams were part of that group. The other 2 U.S. teams and the other 2 domestic teams were in Group B, and they had a meet in Texas and Budapest. We have what they're calling the derbies. So it's the 4 U.S. teams swimming against each other. And then in London, they're having the European Derby. From that, they take the best 2 American teams, the best 2 European teams, and then they go to the finals in Las Vegas.
With the incentive of money, do you see it kind of becoming more of a profession for swimmers, which we haven't really seen before?
You know, you see that in professional basketball. The priority is to get to the pro leagues. Maybe you'd like to experience the Olympics. That's kind of what the league, the ISL, would like, and that becomes people's priority.
In this current season, we're seeing a ton of former Pac-12 athletes involved. None from ASU that I can tell so far.
Once they start to graduate and are done with their NCAA eligibility, then I definitely see, a few of them have already kind of like, hey, maybe I'll be on the ISL next year. So I think people, it's fun. Seniors in college are really looking towards it.
From a coaching perspective, is there anyone you have your eyes set on that you might want to try and snag?
I think as a staff for the DC Tritons, we talk about that a lot. You know, we don't want to reach out, and we're just letting them do their senior season.
Do you think it will kind of grow in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Walking on deck at Naples and a sold-out stadium and people waiting outside for autographs. There are a lot of people in this world who are very excited about it.
With the 2 meets coming up, so we've got DC and then Vegas for the final. What do you hope from the fans?
I just want people to show up, because once you show up, you're going to love it. You're going to be hooked, because it is a really exciting environment.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
From the pool to Desert Financial Arena we go as ASU volleyball finds themselves on another losing streak. After winning 3 straight, the Devils have gone on a 4-game skid and now travel to Oregon in order to take on 2 teams they beat in Tempe earlier this season. Tonight's match in Corvallis will start at 8 p.m. and the Sunday matinee is set for 2.
Death, taxes, and Zahid Valencia. That's the saying, right? Well, maybe not, but it should be. The 2-time national champ led the way for ASU wrestling last weekend in their first action of the season. While the Devils came away with 2 wins over top 25 teams, Valencia delivered 2 falls in 2 matches, one that only took a minute. Get ready for more of this, reader, all season long, because the road to three-peat has just begun for the most dominant athlete Arizona State University has to offer. And now, Jacob, it's time for me to dominate you. It's time for the way it is. We're going to have 3 questions, talk back and forth a little bit. Whoever gives the best arguments gets a rant at the end, that nice little monologue. And I'm going to ask you the first question right away. So with the team needing just 1 more win and Oregon State, Oregon, and Arizona left on the schedule, will ASU football make a bowl game?
Okay, so we talked about it earlier in the show. They need 1 more win to be bowl eligible. I think they're going to get that. That's not super far-fetched. They got Oregon State left on the schedule in Corvallis. That's a tougher game than people think. In November, it's going to be cold and rainy up there. Oregon then comes here, loss, and then U of A, rivalry game. I think one of those 3 will be a win. I personally think they lose 2. They're headed to a bowl game.
As normal, we're going to disagree. I'm going to say they go winless. I don't know what's going on with this team right now. I've been at the games. Every time I predict something, they lose. So maybe this is good for ASU fans that it goes the other way that I say. But I'm going to say they go winless the rest of the season, Jacob.
Okay. As the season is now underway, will ASU men's basketball make the tournament for a 3rd straight year?
No, I just can't say that they will. It's really tough to do that 3 years in a row in this program. They just haven't done it in so long. And the team, they don't have that Zylan Cheatham leader. They have Remy Martin, who's going to be fantastic all year long. And Rob Edwards has been great so far. But I just don't think they have enough in a tough Pac-12.
Miracles do happen on this show. I agree with you. I don't think that ASU men's basketball will make it to the tournament this year. Going 3 straight seasons in a row is a rare thing, especially for Arizona State. It hasn't happened in a very long time. Not going to happen this year for ASU men's basketball.
So we agreed there. That's a miracle. But I don't know if we're going to agree on this one. So Halloween is in the rear view, and people are already putting up Christmas lights, which is ridiculous, just FYI. But I've got to ask you, does Thanksgiving deserve more respect?
Thanksgiving deserves all the respect. I don't think that, you know what, Christmas deserves no respect.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm all in on Thanksgiving. I'm putting all the bread in the Thanksgiving basket. I think that is the best holiday out there. Thanksgiving all the way.
Wow, okay. So it deserves respect, don't get me wrong, but to say that Christmas deserves no respect, that's outlandish, that's ridiculous.
It's a Thanksgiving
that's
world.
Where we disagree. No, it's not a Thanksgiving world. We get a month off for Christmas. You only get like Wednesday and Thursday and Friday off for Thanksgiving. There's a reason for that, Jacob. People that make these schedules, they know what they're doing, all right?
It's because it's special. They're trying to make it 3 special days, whereas Christmas, they're like, we're going to give you a month because it's not special enough to give you.
That makes no sense.
Only
and
a couple days.
That's the reason why I'm going to win the way it is right now. Because
I'm on fire with that.
Nope,
oh
there you
my
go.
God.
Goodbye. A few weekends ago, I took a trip to the Grand Canyon. Now I know what you're thinking. A trip in one day to the Grand Canyon? Dude, that's like 4 hours away. And yeah, that's true. I did 11 hours of driving that day, but it only felt like a few because I had the right company. For ASU men's basketball, the right company has been hard to find. From 1982 all the way through 2015, the Devils had just 4 tournament appearances. For ASU fans, these 33 years probably felt like, well, 33 years. But now, with Hurley alongside the ASU faithful, that annual trip to March is flying by, and they've arrived at the big dance in style for 2 consecutive years. What has been a problem for this program is not one anymore, and it's because one of the greatest point guards in college basketball history is their company in a car that's having a great time. And that's the way it is.
You know what? I hate to say it, but you did a great job with that, reader. I'm happy for you that you finally got to win one. And we're going to get top plays started with play number 3. Remy Martin, we talked about him earlier in the show, brings it down, slam dunk. He doesn't do it all the time, but when he does, it's special. ASU went on to win that game 90-49.
And we're going to stick with that game at number 2, as Romello White is just going to bully people down low. They played Central Connecticut State, not the best team. They tried him twice in 2 possessions, and he takes this kid's lunch money right there. I mean, that's just mean, Jacob.
You thought those first 2 plays were special? Check this out. Kat Jones, ASU women's hockey against Davenport, back-to-back hat tricks. 2 hat tricks are better than 1. Unbelievable. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you, Jacob. She really did that.
She really did it.
She really did it, and I wish I had a hat to throw at you here because you had a hat trick of a show, Jacob.
That's a weird saying, but I love it. It was a hat trick of a show, and a hat trick of a show to you too, and to everybody in the studio. For them, for Tyler Mannion, my name's Jacob Rudner. We'll see you next week on Cronkite Sports Live. See you later.